Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the PANACEA End User Virtual Workshop Series running from the 15th to the 24th of September across a series of mini webinars. This afternoon we're going to be looking at the secure information sharing platform. But first we'd like to share the floor for the welcome from the PANACEA coordinator, Dr. Sabina Magalini. So the floor is yours, Sabina. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Sabina Magalini. I'm an emergency surgeon of the Policlinico Gemelli of Rome. Our hospital is coordinating the project PANACEA that has the aim to deliver people-centered cybersecurity solutions for healthcare. In my role of project coordinator, I would like to welcome you to this second end user workshop in its fourth session. These workshops have the intent to have feedback on the tools we are building and that will be tested in our hospitals. As you know, this workshop deals with one of the solutions, which is the secure information sharing, which today seems to be a very great problem due also to the great expansion of the telehealth applications of hospitals. We thank all of you who are participating for your precious time and the extensive experience you will be bringing. And be sure that all the suggestions and the evaluations that you will be giving will be put to good use to fine-tune the tools we are designing to help with the hospital realities and the healthcare system in general with all the cybersecurity issues in these difficult times. So a good workshop to all of you.
Thank you, Sabina. So we'll just talk you quickly through the agenda of the afternoon. Let's put it on presentation mode. So what we'll do in a few minutes will be a live polling. This is where we're asking you just to say what type of stakeholder you belong to, group you belong to, and then we'll open the floor to the participants so that they can give us a brief introduction by telling us who they are, who they work for, and why they're interested in PANACEA. And then Pasquale will introduce our presenters for the secure information sharing platform, and then we'll have a go on then to a second slot where we can see how this platform works in practice. And then after that we'll do the interactive session with a Q&A on the tool in case you have any questions to ask for more details or clarifications, and then we'll be doing some live polls and then an open discussion. We do have some additional questions this afternoon, and we hope we have time to discuss those as well. So over to you, Christina, for the first polls.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Welcome everybody. As Stephanie was mentioning, I will be now launching the interactive polls. One now, which is for you to understand the stakeholder profiling, and one later on after the presentation for your feedback. Just a small technical detail for you later when you will have to do your presentation. I have given you the rights to talk, so when you need to present yourself, you can just unmute the microphone on your side. At the moment, I am muting all the microphones, and then you will be able to present yourself. I'm now launching the first poll, and you should all be able to see it. The question is, which type of organization are you representing? Just scroll down if you don't see your type of organization, and if no one is applicable, you can just click on other. Thank you. As we have seen from the previous sessions that it's very quick to vote in the polls, I give around 60 seconds for each poll, so I will close each poll after 60 seconds.
while you're voting, just a reminder that if you do have any questions, you can write them also in the Q&A panel, okay, at any time during the presentations.
Thank you, Steph. And thank you all for your votes. I'm now going to share the poll results. So we have a 17% from hospital, clinics, or healthcare facilities, so end users. A 17%, which is one of your medical supplier organization, and 33% from cybersecurity and privacy supplier companies, and another 33% from research organization. Thank you. I'm now going to launch the second question of our first poll. Question is, how does your specific role expertise relate to this workshop? Okay, thank you all for your votes. I'm ending the poll and I'm going to share the results. 17% information technology managers and 17% data protection officer, and another 17% advisor on information security, and 50% of you voted for other. I'm now stopping the poll and giving the floor back to you and Pasquale, Stephanie. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks very much. We seem to have lost a couple of attendees, but let's just move on to the introductions. I'm sorry, let me just double check who is actually online. I think I'll just do it directly through the attendee list. Yeah. So we're just going to ask each of the participants just to say who they are. We've met some of you before, and I echo the words that Sabina gave at the beginning, that we really do appreciate your time and expertise in giving us feedback on the tool. So first on the list would be Juan. Hello, welcome back, Juan. If you'd just like to explain to the others who you are. We have slightly different combinations of participants though, so just to remind each other who we are. Thank you.
Hello, do you hear me? Yeah.
We do, yes.
I work at the Research Institute in the Puerto Hierro Hospital in Madrid, Majadahonda. And I'm currently a researcher participating in use cases as a researcher for the Curix projects. It's also a cybersecurity project involved with hospitals and data which controls cybersecurity and privacy mainly, and data exchange between different devices, countries, etc.
Thank you very much. Next on the list would be, working in alphabetical order, would be Davide Salvaterra. So the floor is yours.
Hi everyone, I'm Davide from Videomed, an Italian company producing video management and information management solutions for the operating room. I'm interested in cybersecurity, of course, because this kind of system are strictly connected to the internet and to the cloud, and so they can really be either pivot point or also be attacked themselves somehow from hackers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Davide. The next is Wissam. Welcome back, Wissam, to this session on the secure information sharing. If you'd like to say a few words.
Hello, Stephanie. Thank you for the invitation. So my name is Wissam Malouli. I'm a security expert in a small company in Paris called Montimage. So we have a strong expertise in cybersecurity, and of course one of the activities we have is sharing information in a secure way, and we would like to to see how you are dealing with this issue in PANACEA.
Thanks very much. We've got back online Denise Amran. Denise, if you'd like to say a few words about yourself and your work and your interest in PANACEA, Christina will give you the right to unmute.
And you should be already able to unmute your microphone on your side and if you want to give us a short presentation.
If not, we can move directly on to Simon Woodworth. Thank you. Welcome back again to you, Simon.
Thanks, Stephanie, and good afternoon, everybody, and nice to meet most of you again. My name is Simon Woodworth. I'm a lecturer in Business Information Systems in University College Cork. I am director of our Health Information Systems Research Centre, and I'm also program director for our master's program in cyber risk for business. So as such, I have an interest in the organizational and technical aspects of cybersecurity, and obviously also an interest in health informatics, and particularly interested in the intersection between both. I'm also on the advisory board for this project. That's it.
Super, thank you, Simon. Okay, I think with no further ado, then we'll move on to the presentations. So I'll pass the floor to Pasquale to introduce our PANACEA partners this afternoon. Thanks.
Yes, now we are moving on with the presentation of the solution, and this will be performed by Peter and by Fabrizio. They are both engineers and they are developing the solution, and they are part of a company called REA, and REA is an international company dealing with producing solutions for cybersecurity. For many sectors, including healthcare and aerospace, for instance. Okay, so I leave the floor to them, to Fabrizio and to Peter.
Thanks a lot, Pasquale, for the introduction. I'm going to share the screen just to present, let me see, quickly SISP. Let me know if you can see my presentation, please.
Yes.
Maybe this I can move. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Welcome also from me to this presentation of the Secure Information Sharing Platform. We are going to see which is the role of the platform within the Solution Toolkit that the consortium has to provide in the project PANACEA. The concept, the initial concept of the platform, what came out from a research, work package research, and then the status, the development status, which use cases are supposed to be demonstrated before the end of the project, and then I will give the floor to Peter Axam to introduce you the technical aspects, which is the high-level design, which are the functions, the data that is able to support. In particular, we will show some details regarding particular capability, like for example the federation management that allow to have several instances of the platform to communicate with each other. And then I will just introduce the current testing environment that where we install let's say the SISP platform at the end of each development sprint. After this presentation, I can already tell you there will be a couple of videos that present the features so far developed for the platform. So I think, as you already know, because it's been introduced also in the other workshop, PANACEA Toolkit includes several tools, technological, but also organizational. The secure information sharing has the role actually to, let's say, to enable the healthcare organization person to coordinate and share healthcare information in the near real time. So this is one of the main purpose of this platform, try to reduce the time to share information in the healthcare domain, not only internally, but also with external organization. Should enable healthcare professionals to exchange the information also in a more efficient way in compliance with the regulation, in particular GDPR, in a more secure way, so more securely than the current situation, at least in the end user that are participating in the project, by promoting interoperable file formats, cryptographic methods, and mutual trust model. So we can tell that the SISP will allow the organization to guarantee the confidentiality, accountability, integrity, availability of the data. Can be performed, as I was mentioning, between different, the information can be shared between different healthcare organizations, cross-border, and despite the organization and the country where the organization is placed. To do that, SISP requires that an healthcare organization to enroll in the PANACEA network in order to use SISP as a data exchange tool. So we should enforce, there is a mutual trust between the organizations that are sharing information. I think I already introduced this slide. Something else, as I was telling, came out from a research work package where several aspects has been tackled, has been studied, like for example how that is not mentioned in this slide, but how also the GDPR regulation is supported in the organization, which are the let's say the elements that we needed to take into account during the development of the platform. One relevant aspect has been the deployment and replication of the data. So is important, it's clear that each participating organization controls the flow of the data that it creates. We realize, of course, that the data residency was important for them, and also is important the reliability of the data. This is very, very high. We considered basically in this work package 3 different options for how data could be exchanged. So the data repository, first option, the data repository is managed by a trusted third party and replicated in order to keep one logical database of information physically replicated. Or the second one, information exchanged by peer-to-peer by messaging. And the third one is peer-to-peer messaging with a shared local states. We can, after you will understand which has been the solution that we implemented to tackle these aspects. Regarding the development status of the platform, we are finalizing the second version of the platform foreseen for the end of October. And later there will be refinement and bug fixing of the platform until the end of December. Now I'm going to present the 3 use cases, or better the 3 user scenario where the SISP should be used, where should and that should be validated against. Validated to demonstrate that with SISP the situation can be really improved. The first scenario is regards to the General Hospital of Heraklion and University Hospital of Heraklion Pagni, that are both belong to the 7th health region of Crete. And actually there, when the patient needs an advanced scan, tomography scan, the General Hospital of Heraklion send him to the Pagni Hospital because they have the equipment to perform this exam. But actually the problem that when the exam is finalized, all the results from the exam are saved in a CD given to the patient. So the patient is also obliged then to share this CD with the initial, with the first hospital, the General Hospital of Heraklion. The second scenario is a cross-border information sharing. So refers to the actual sharing of a patient's clinical data between Policlinico Gemelli in Italy and the 7th Health Region KIT. So it's an example where a patient needs to travel to Italy. He needs to be submitted to a particular exam, so the patient summary needed to be shared between the two organizations. And this can be done preventively, because we already know that the patient needs to be assisted in Policlinico Gemelli. Of course, after that, are sent back to the initial organization, hospital. The latest is more, it's very similar, but regards an emergency situation. So when, let's say, in this case, an Irish citizen is involved in a car crash in Rome, so he's transported in hurry to the hospital for emergency. And of course, this hospital requires to have the patient summary, so the information of the patient quickly in real time. So he needs to interact with the usual hospital of the citizen. I can give the floor to Peter Axelman to introduce all the technical aspects, and then I will keep back the let's see, the presentation. Please, Peter.
Thank you, Fabrizio. I am Peter Hagström, and I lead the development team of SISP at RIA. And I will go through the technical challenges and the technical solutions solved with the SISP. We base the secure information sharing platform on an asset that we have developed in-house here at RIA. The asset is specifically designed to solve incident response and coordination of incident response, and also information exchange between disparate organizations. The system allows multiple organizations to handle incidents and to selectively share information to trusted partners. It was designed for use in cybersecurity incidents response teams, and is based on our experience developing similar systems for the defense domain. The asset is very configurable and allows to create organization-specific templates, workflows, queries, reporting, etc. We can, inside our asset, define role-based access control, allowing for separation of different user actions, as well as hierarchical data visibility groups, which allows the asset to handle information targeting for different audiences. Our asset is built on a multi-tenancy approach, where organizations is strictly managing their own organization, and then they can exchange data. The architecture is based on Spring Boot, and is a multi-tier application with a web front end that works across all the modern web browsers. And you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So in order to support the different legislations and data residency, we needed to make sure that we could have a distributed mode. So the key idea is that we would like to have multiple instances of the SISP talking to each other, reducing the need for a central trusted partner, and enabling each instance to control the flow of their data. So we started by introducing a concept of constituent, and the constituent grouped different organizations into a circle of trust, and these organizations share some common or mutual trust, and can span multiple instances of the platform. And then we have implemented a synchronization channel. So we wanted to have a system that was fault tolerant, allowed us to continue operation even if we had a network partitioning, to allow for real-time data exchange. And what we did was to decide to have a persistent queuing on each node, where we basically have a letterbox where we can send a message to another node, and they have a similar back to us. The exchange allows us to have strict ordering of the message, and guarantees that we will deliver at least once the connection is restored. In order to govern and guarantee that the nodes we are connecting to are trusted, we have an approach by deploying TLS certificate exchange. And this allows us to have a central control over a federation. So we do that by having a federation root, which governs the body which is the governance body over the federation. The federation root will sign the different certificates coming from different nodes. And in this way, we can have some central governing over the federation while still being fully distributed. Each node will have both a server and a client certificate, where we use the server certificate to validate that the node we are connecting to is part of the federation. And the client certificate, when we are connecting to another node, we use that certificate in order to prove our identity to the other nodes. And this enables a TLS communication to be used for all the exchanges that we are performing on the message passing architecture. Then we had a need to exchange very large files. So given the use cases that was presented by Fabrizio earlier, we needed something else than the message passing, because the message passing is not really sufficient when you want to have these large file exchanges. And in the healthcare sector, it's quite common to use PACS systems to have images and store the images on. So we decided to go for an approach where we, instead of exchanging the file, we exchanged a reference to file on a centralized storage. So what we have implemented is an interface that allows us to interface with these different external storages. And then we have also provided an implementation where we use a consistent hashing distributed file system called Minio, where we can exchange data. And on top of that, we also have some signing mechanisms built into the platform, so we can create a cryptographic signature over a file, and we provide that over another communication channel, so we can also validate the data inside the file. Next slide, please. For GDPR, we needed to extend our asset a bit. It was not really targeting that type of information. So what we have done is to introduce some data lifecycle management, where we automatically can assign different retention times for templates or specific records. That will make sure that we do not keep data forever in the system. They will expire automatically. So you can share something for a certain amount of time, and then it will be deleted. We also had some rudimentary consent management. We asked the end users earlier, and we had the indication that the consent should be handled out of the system, but still we wanted to provide some controls in the system. So for now, we have the possibility to configure different consent messages, making sure that the operator must confirm that he has the consent and the rights to share this data. And then we have also extended the logging and accountability, because in healthcare, it's very important to know who did any alterations to the data. So the system automatically stores these change logs for what have happened to information in the system. Next slide, please. And in order to integrate in the healthcare IT infrastructure, we implemented the possibility to use an external identity provider. This also enables us to integrate with the identity management platform. So in PANACEA, we are developing a tool for authentication of user based on biometrics, and this will also be the interface that we will use towards the IMP. The single sign-on is built on the SAML2 protocol, and this allows us to integrate towards many different providers. And it's using a quite secure exchange where you have this asymmetric cryptography, where you exchange a token, basically. And since there is no direct interaction between the identity provider or the SISP, we keep very flexible deployment options in this way. Next slide, please. So focusing a bit on what we will do for the coming period here is that we have recently concluded the first prototype of the platform, and now we want to extend it a bit. So since we're targeting different organizations in a cross-border scenario, we should deal with different languages and formats. That might be internal to a specific hospital or to a country. So what we want to do is to normalize this information before we are sharing it to an external partner. And for this specific case, we want to make a mapping feature where it's possible to translate into a different common format, and from this format also then translate back so it actually makes sense to you when you receive the information. Then we are building an environment where we will have the possibility to confirm the correct integration with the IMP. So that will also be part of the things we're doing right now. And since a patient might be engaged in multiple exams or events, we would also like to create a hierarchy of these different records. So, for instance, allowing one instance of a specific template to contain a sub-template where you can have a link of this data, so you can have these sort of structured records with multiple sub-records in them. And then we also want to enhance the possibility to exchange information with other systems inside the health domain. So right now it's quite rudimentary. We can exchange data, but we don't make any real effort to understand the data that we are exchanging. Anything to add on that, Fabrizio, or else I leave back the floor to you?
Thanks, Peter. No, I think it's fine. Maybe the concept, let's say, ticket template, are concepts that will be clearly after the demo. But of course, the patient summary, the format, I think are very well known. In the next last slide regarding the integration testing activities. So as you understood, we are testing the federation management. So we have a couple of instances of the platform able to run on the same physical instance. But what is important is that we are the test of the information exchange can be performed. Also, we are already interfacing, as Peter introduced, an external identity provider, Keycloak, we are using for in this period, and also an external file storage that is Minio. So this enable us to perform the testing of all the capabilities developed so far. This it's everything from us as a introductory presentation. If there are any questions. We are happy to answer.
Is there anything related to DICOM rather than HL7, or DICOM has been dropped completely from this analysis?
No. Actually, the demo will be focused on the sharing of the DICOM files.
Okay.
So this was so we put the HL7 as a reference, so just to identify a potential well-known data format used in the healthcare domain. But so we would like also to understand as a first. So the tool is already able to share any type of files. What we were speaking about in the slide, there was more import-export, so something different as a functionality. The capability to interface, like the functionality to interface an existing system in the care domain. Okay, but between internally, SISP is able to share any type of data.
Thank you.
Peter,
welcome.
There is a question from Maluli Wissam. If you can read it on the Q&A.
Yeah. So for the solution is built on assets that we have, but then of course we are using quite a lot of different open source technology for this as well. So for the message exchange, we are using a system called RabbitMQ, which builds on the advanced message queuing protocol. So that's the main motor for the distributed exchange of information.
Thank you very much.
Steph, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hey, are we finished now with this first part of the presentations? we're doing quite well for time. Yeah, we were supposed to finish this at 3:15 or 7 minutes past. So I don't know if we want to wait for more questions or if we can say we can move on, and then maybe there would be time then for those extra questions that you have, Fabrizio and
yeah,
Peter.
I think it's better to start the demo videos because I'm sure that after some more questions can come out. So
Maybe I can add a question related
of
to
course.
the different formats that you can have in different hospitals and clinics. Do you use any kind of ontology to make a link, or it's some you are building a new structure that everyone need to follow in each organization?
Fabrizio, do you want to take that question, or do you want me to answer?
Please answer if you want. I think it's better.
So what we do with the system is that we have a quite flexible system to build whatever type of structure you want to have. So that's something that we inherited from our base asset. But it's not a standard, so you could model your own data format inside the tool. But then we also want to go a bit further and have standard templates for exchange during these constituents, so you can share some kind of common view of the data as well. Do you have anything to add on that, Fabrizio?
Oh yeah, that's. I think it's enough for the moment because we'll be clear with the demonstration where this customizable data set templates will be presented. So I think you told you explained very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're ready to move on then, yes?
I think yes, for me, it's fine.
Okay.
Do you want that I share the screen again to show the video?
Yes, please, yes.
Okay, I will, before run the video here. Just a moment. Okay, share the screen. The computer audio is already shared. So I'm just starting the first video that will last totally half an hour, a bit more than half an hour, but maybe I will stop at some point just to let you ask a question. So the first part that you're going to see refers to the admin part of the tool. Then the second part, very short, is regards to the menu items for a normal user. And then the third part will demonstrate already how SISP can solve the first use case when there is the exam where the patient is sent to PANI for the advanced scan, how the information can be exchanged and can be shared between the two hospitals. If there are no questions, I can start the first presentation, the first video. Sorry. Let me know if you don't hear the sound.
Yeah, let's just test it.
Management of organization.
Okay.
Demonstration of the selected.
It's okay.
PANACEA or in other research projects?
Before starting the demonstration of the selected user scenario, we would like to give an overview of the functionalities. SISP is a multi-tenant application which supports the operation of disparate organizational units within the same server instance. The management of organizations is completely separated. It allows each organization to customize the tool for their particular needs. Organizations that want to use SISP will need to be created and managed. This is done by the tenant manager. In fact, I'm currently logged with this account. The manager has an overview of all the organizations in the tool and can control certain aspects. Note that the tenant manager cannot access organization's data, but only the organizational metadata. Additionally, the organizational administrative account can be reassigned by the tenant manager. Each organization within SISP has at least one user that has the organizational admin role assigned. This is a requirement to ensure that the organization doesn't lock itself out. When a new organization is created by the tenant manager, after setting the organization settings, an organization administrator needs to be assigned. For this scenario, we are going to demonstrate we have created the 7th health region of Crete constituent with 2 organizations, General Hospital of Heraklion and University Hospital of Heraklion, Pagne. Now I log out as a tenant manager and I log in as a doctor of the General Hospital of Heraklion. As you can see, here I have access to all the functionalities. I did this only for the demonstration purpose. The best approach is to have different roles in the organization in order to have the admin section managed by a specific person. Anyway, the tool can support both the configuration. The user management presents all the users of the organization, allow you to create, edit, and delete users. Every user has 2 profiles, so that every time the username appears in a ticket or as a wiki author, people from the same organization see the organizational profile name, while external organizations see the public profile name. This ensures user privacy to the world outside his organization when sharing information through SISP. The role management presents all the roles available for the organization. The role management allows you to create, edit, and delete roles. Roles are collection of the permissions of the system features. Roles are assigned to users in the user management. The group management presents all groups available for the organization. You can create, edit, and delete groups. Groups determine health tickets access. The groups are assigned within the context of each health ticket in the system, thereby granting access to the users associated to the groups. A single user can belong to multiple groups. Groups can be arranged in a hierarchy in a tree-structured way. Every group can have a single parent group that can itself have a parent group and so on. A parent group has visibility on health tickets assigned to it and all its descendants groups. User access to the created tickets can be managed by means of group assignments. Assigning a group or multiple groups to the tickets will allow more or less persons to access the ticket data. It's in any case important to make sure you are part of one of the assigned groups, as otherwise you will lose visibility on the ticket. The tool will warn you if this might happen. For instance, perfectly possible to create tickets, assign group you are not part of, which means you will no longer be able to access the tickets. But the assigned groups will manage the ticket from that point. Groups are configured by your organization. You can inspect the group you are part of by inspecting your profile. State management presents the user all the states available for the organization. The state management allows you to create, edit, and delete states. The state consists of the name and description. The states can be used in the definition overflow. The overflow management presents a user with an overview of all overflow available for the organization. The overflow management you can create, edit, and delete overflow. The overflow consists of the name, description, and number of states. It allows the transitions between them. The tool supports customizable workflow to best reflect your organization's processes. The workflow is tied to the selected ticket template. A workflow consists of states and state transitions. The life cycle of the ticket is reflected by the transitions from the state. Note that at any point, the workflow can be displayed with the current state highlighted to provide insights into the progress of the ticket. The attribute management presents the user with an overview of all the attributes available for the organization. You can create, edit, and delete attributes. These are individual fields that can be used in the definition of a facet, a template. Here I created all the attributes that will be used in the demonstration of our scenario. The facet management presents all facets available for the organization. The facet management allows you to create and edit these facets. A facet has a name, description, and one or more attributes. The facet can be used in the definition of the template. Here you can define also the order of the attributes and make them mandatory or anonymized. Anonymized means that they will not be possible to share them and not to have them in the reporting. The template management presents all the templates available for the organization. Template management allows you to create, edit, delete a template. They are prepared by your organization and should be in line with your processes and data recording requirements. As you can see here, we created a ticket template for the demonstration for magnetic resonance imaging ticket. We selected the demo workflow for accessible to the group doctors that we can share with within the constituent 7th Health HRC. You can also define the question for the consent to verify if the patient consent has been required, properly filled, assigned. And we have the setting for the retention, where you can define the time for which the retention should apply. You can define also the order of the information that should be displayed in the template as a list of attributes and facets, which can be even a multiple of times added to the ticket. Any questions so far? Just to, I think the presentation of the administration groups is finished. I don't know if there is also already some question. Is it better to answer right now?
It's not clear for me what will be exactly shared when you will say, for example, name or first name, last name. Is it the name of the doctor or the patient? Or
I can tell you that all the information that you see has been created just for the demonstration, but you can create the template with any attribute that you consider you use currently in your organization. It's completely customizable. Then, of course, maybe for the patient information are more used to be let's say, to be shared in different way. These are, I don't know, in your in the organization that you know, but actually the system can be customized. Also, the list of attributes, in fact, in this present demo, I didn't present clearly how to create an attribute, but you can create the attribute, specify name, description, type, data type. So if it's a number, if it's a text. So
but
it's.
I have a doubt, because here, when you are specifying attributes, that means if we work like in a database, you are building a table in a database.
No.
Because in the table you will have, no.
Yeah, please go on, and then we can answer you.
When you have a classical relationship database, you have tables where we can define the name of your columns. So each column you will have a name, the description, and type, etc., etc. But here, what we will share is not only some rows in the table, but maybe something more complex, which is the whole database, where we can have relationships between tables and also more complex information. I don't know if you are managing this kind of things.
Thank you for the question. Peter, you would
I
answer?
can try to explain. I'm not sure that I'm getting the question correct, but what we do is that we have the template model is basically a document. So we are using a document database. It's not a relational database, but the definition of a template is, as we see it, just a grouping of these different attributes and what kind of values goes in, and then the instances of these records that we create will adhere to the template that we design inside the tool, and they are also based on these record formats that we define here in the template format. So I don't know if it answers your question, but
I'm just trying to make a mapping between your this document and for example a JSON format that you will send, for example, into your MQTT or RabbitMQ event pass. So the JSON format can be complex. You can have arrays, you can have things, and I don't know if you take this complexity in this template management.
Yeah. So we it is a quite complex format that we exchange, but for the initial sharing of a document, it is a complex operation to share that, because we need to tell something about the format that we are exchanging as well. But then for updates of values, we actually can target just attributes. In that case, we only speak about a specific attribute change. So that will be like a little change request that we send in a specific format.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the answer. Yeah. This make it clear. Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
Any other question?
Fabrizio, I have a question on my side. Sorry, maybe.
No, don't worry.
No. Is it the concept of ticket? Because you have spoken many times of ticket. Maybe it is clear to other people, but not to me. I am a layman, let's say. But if you can explain to me what ticket is in this context.
Ticket can be a set. So it's an instance of a template that you create.
Okay. So for instance, if we want to share the information about a person that is dialyzed, now has a dialysis, and we have to transmit some information on that person to another dialysis center, we write the parameters of that person.
Exactly. Not of that person, of the generic person. So the attributes that you would like to fill for that kind of information that you want to share.
This is a template.
This is a template. So you can...
Then when I put the actual name and the actual parameter of the person, then I have a ticket.
Yes. In fact, what I showed so far is just to introduce the admin section.
Okay.
No, let me just finish, because here I just described how you can configure the platform for your needs. Okay. So what I showed in terms of data, so the data type that I used, the name of the attributes are will be used later in the demo video to share the health ticket that can be shared between General Hospital of Heraklion and Pagni to ask for an advanced scan to Pagni for the patients.
Okay, okay.
Anyway, later if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate, because I think it's important that we are all of us on the same.
I have a last question maybe
Yeah,
for
please.
the workflow management.
Hmm.
My understanding that you are using a finite state machine to define this workflow, but is it the case?
That we're using a state machine to define the workflow. Yeah, it is. That's exactly what the workflow is. If you talk about it in computer science terms, yeah. So it's a set of state transitions and states.
Yeah, but do you have some conditions on the transitions or not?
You can specify. Yeah. Please,
you can specify the some transition conditions. So you might be required the user to have a specific role in order to transition the state of the ticket.
Okay, thank you. I didn't. Maybe I missed this part of conditions on transition in the video. Sorry.
No, here
you
see.
can see it here. Yeah, you can select the
I didn't
here.
demonstrate actually the video.
Okay.
Please, Peter, if you want to explain.
Yeah, it's quite rudimentary currently, but what you can do here is that you can say that you need to have this role in order to transition the workflow state here. So you can see
it's only related to the role, not only to something that happened to something, an event.
No, exactly. It's not very complex. No.
Okay, thank you a lot. Let's make it clear. Okay.
Okay, I think I can proceed with the second section that again will be focused on the normal menu available for all the operational users. I think I can go, the timer was a bit more advanced. Which can be even multiple times added to the ticket. The point of contact directory list show the list of users, email addresses, organizations. It's intended as a list of people that have been published by the organization to be point of contact for the organization they belong to. The point of contact public profile personal information is displayed for the users that are not part of your organization. All users of your organization are listed here as well, with their organizational private profile information. This is not visible to any of the other organizations. The tool provides a reporting facility to generate custom reports. The setup of this report is configured by the user and consists of the definition of multiple sections that describe the report. SISP allows the user also to share wiki information outside the context of the health ticket. Allow users to add comments attachments to a wiki page. The tool allows the creation of wiki topics. A wiki topic will contain one or more several wiki pages. These wiki pages will be created and managed by wiki topic members. The wiki topic has two important settings. The visibility setting, that is used to set the level of restrictions. It can be set to public, protected, or private. And the shared setting, that allow wiki topic to be shared between organizations. The combination of these two settings enables the user to access to a broader bunch of security settings. We think also that this functionality may be explored to share relevant articles, health information among organizations to enforce a cooperation among them. Query can be created from the query menu, where a list of saved ones is displayed. It's possible to create a new query or edit an existing one. The query creation window permits to add a lot of filters on the various tickets fields, filtering the ones that have not a value decided by the query creator. For example, the user can define a query that filters out tickets that are closed. A single query can filter multiple fields. The user can also manage the output, decide the fields to be displayed in the result table and their order. Every dashboard displays a list of health tickets that are visible to the logged user, filtered by certain criteria and defined in the query. A dashboard can show the result of different subsequent queries. An empty query means all tickets visible to the user will be visualized. A user can review the available dashboard by clicking on the gear on the top right of the dashboard view. A list will appear, displaying which is the default one, the titles and the queries that compose every dashboard filter. A dashboard is defined by a list of the previously saved queries that can be executed in an order decided by the dashboard creator. There can be only one default dashboard for every user. From the top right drop-down menu of the main view, the user can select the current dashboard. So this finish the presentation of the, let's say, the introduction to the tool. Now it's really the demonstration of the first use case. So again, regards the CT scans shared between General Hospital of Veracruz and University Hospital of Veracruz Pagni. But everything will be explained in the demo. Any question about this last part regarding the menu, query, wiki?
Not especially about this menu, but I don't see yet if there is any planification of sharing, for example, or is something that is done automatically when we create the ticket, you'll be shared in just after or something like that.
Okay, I think the last part of this video should answer you. If it's not the case, please don't hesitate, come back with your question. Okay,
thank you.
For the demo, the first scenario has been chosen to show how SISP can solve the current image sharing process between Pagni and General Hospital of Veracruz, where no tool is available, and the CD are used to deliver the exam results to the doctor at the General Hospital of Veracruz. We created two accounts, one per organization. Wilbur Smith, the doctor in Pagni, and Roger Federer, the doctor for General Hospital of Veracruz. Roger Federer, the doctor at General Hospital of Veracruz, will log in SISP to create a health ticket for requiring an advanced exam to Pagni Hospital for a particular patient. Once he shares the ticket with Pagni, Wilbur Smith, the doctor at Pagni, will be notified about which exam to perform and for which patient. When the exam is performed, the doctor uploads the results and updates the ticket in SISP in order to share at once all the info with his colleague at the General Hospital of Veracruz. The typical data involved in this scenario has been asked to the 7th Health Regional Recruit personnel. Here you can see the information consent form that the patient has to fill, a diagnosis of an MRI, and the viewer needed to view the images that, with the diagnosis, are normally stored in the CD and delivered to the patient. Let's start the demo. The patient goes to the General Hospital of Veracruz. Once a patient arrives at the General Hospital of Veracruz, and an advanced CT scan exam is required, the doctor asks the patient to fill the information consent form. He creates the health ticket to request the exam for the patient to Pagni. Here I am logged in as a doctor at the General Hospital of Veracruz. I'm going to create a new ticket. I will add the title. This first list of fields are mandatory. The title, the description, the distribution. I'm putting the description. I can add additional fields of facets, as in this case I created for the patient identification. Giving the surname, name, date of birth. I can select a distribution type, means that is an indicative field to indicate the disclosure of the ticket data once received. The designation is based on the meter traffic light protocol taxonomy. I select white, that means information may be distributed without restriction. The ticket handler is an optional field that can be used to indicate a user that will be responsible for the ticket processing. Any user can be selected if he is a part of the ticket group assignment. There is no business logic associated with assigning an handler. All users that are part of the assigned group can still edit and collaborate on the ticket. As such, the handler can be seen as an indicative field that may align to your organizational processes. You can use the handler assignment field in the query on the dashboard overview, filter on all tickets handled by a specific user, for instance. Based on the configuration employed by the organization, a ticket will be created by default with a lot of fields or only few. The definition of the ticket structure is detailed by the template, as you understood. It can happen that the default fields are not specific enough to record the insights garnered during the handling of the ticket. The tool supports this case by allowing additional grouped field to be added to the ticket on the fly, like I did with the patient information. These facets are governed by the template and can be different for each. Adding of these facets a grouped fields around that together provide a health category for reporting. Once saved, the fields are now part of the ticket context. Optional facets can be added to the ticket anytime. However, depending on the facet definition by your organization, facets can be added once or multiple times, as we saw. Optional facets can also be removed. This will delete the stored values as well to thought. Mandatory facets will be added to the ticket during creation. By default, these facets cannot be removed from the ticket. Note that the fields are data type aware. A proper means of entry is presented when editing the times list selection description box, as you understood. The input of for the fields is validated, probably formatted or invalid values has been aligned, and they will block the ticket's save functionality until resolved. The fields can also be marked mandatory by organization. In this case, a value must be supplied. The tool supports the uploading of the attachment, but let's save the tickets first. Attachment can also be uploaded from your computer and sent to the tool for storage. We will see when the Dr. Pani has to do that. A description detailing the attachment or justification must be supplied. Attachments can be deleted after they have been uploaded. Note that the attachments are available for download by all the users that have access to the ticket. Within the context of the ticket, comments can be exchanged to discuss ongoing action. Attachment can be added to the comments. the comment threading functionality support replying to comment as well. Once the decision is made to share the ticket, you can press the Share button in the More menu item of the ticket. And when you have clicked this button, the view changes to allow the share to be configured. There are several fields highlighted in blue. That means that these fields will be shared. Fields that are not highlighted are not shared. And thus not visible anyway to the sharing partners. Certain core fields are always shared to provide context to the sharing partners, like title, description. However, the facet fields of the ticket can be individually assessed, if they should be included as part of the shared tickets or not. Including facet fields is as easy as checking the box in front of a checkbox of the facets. Note it is important that the selected data for sharing is reviewed properly before initializing the share. This includes making sure that no privacy or confidential organizational data is shared, as it will be visible to the sharing partners from that point. It's possible to stop sharing a value, but it will still be visible in the history log of the ticket of the sharing partner. The partner you can share the data with are part of the constituent. The organization are trusted and connected through a secure channel. Each ticket that you share allows the sub-selection partners from the assigned constituent. The sharing group created is then specific for this ticket. The originator of the share stays in control of the partner selection. Sharing partners cannot share ticket data with other partners. Note that the ticket is shared with an organization, not an individual. The sharing partner will apply their own access controls and assign local users to handle the ticket from their context. The originator of the share has no control over this. The sharing partners can be selected from a list, as we saw, where all the available organizations for particular constituents for the sharing are presented. The data view of the shared ticket is different from the perspective of the sharing originator and the sharing partners. Depending on the fields selected for sharing by the originator, the ticket might have far less fields available when inspected by a sharing partner. This granular sharing control allows the ticket to be managed locally by the originator, while still being able to collaborate with the sharing partners on the shared data subset. The workflow here, for instance, is different from the workflow that can be seen from the sharing partners. We will see later. Only the new in progress and closed states will be shown in order to treat your workflow as a confidential information. As data is granularly shared, also the ticket history will be different depending on who is viewing the ticket. If a field is not shared, it will not be part of the history of the ticket from the perspective of the sharing partner. It will be part, however, of the ticket originator's history. Actions taken with the context of the ticket are recorded. These are available in the ticket history at the bottom of the ticket edit page. The history shows when an action has taken place, who did it, what happened. And there is no data version in the context of the ticket. Values can change by virtue of a colleague updating it. Hence, the history is very important to understand the life cycle of the ticket. Now, before sharing the ticket, let's select more fields, like magnetic resonance imaging, diagnosis, and then let's click on the Save and Share button to share the ticket with PANACEA Hospital. Here the tool presents the question that you configured in the administration section for the template in order to remember you if the patient has properly filled and signed the consent form in order to be sure that you can share some personal information with another hospital, another organization. Now we shared. Let's log in as a PANACEA doctor. As you can see, you have a new document. The document created a General Hospital of Heraklion, why you have this initial GHH. And you can see that only the fields selected by the doctor at the General Hospital of Heraklion have been shared. Also, the history has been properly filtered, mentioning only the actions performed on the shared fields. When the patient arrives at PANACEA, the hospital is already aware of him and of the exam expected for him. The hospital performs the exam. At this stage, currently, the doctor in PANACEA releases the CD to the patient. But what is changing with the SISP? Let's go to see. Once the exam is performed at PANACEA Hospital, the doctor can update the ticket. For example, he can fill the diagnosis fields, he can upload the result of the exam, he can select all of them. Now we are going to remove and to leave only one file. You can upload also as a zip file or any other format. You have to add a description. You can add a signature. When you click on upload file, the file is attached to the ticket. And now the doctor at the PANACEA can share the information with the doctor at the General Hospital of Heraklion. Now let's log in as a doctor at General Hospital of Heraklion to see if the ticket has been correctly updated and shared back. As you can see, the fields has been updated. I have the attachment. I can download. In order to be inspected with the proper viewer. If everything is fine, I can decide to close, to continue the workflow of the ticket in my organization. I just decide to close it, or before close it, I can share a ticket, share a comment with the doctor at PANACEA. Now the ticket has finalized his workflow, as it can be seen also in the dashboard. The patient has already left the University Hospital of Heraklion, Pagni. He is not anymore obliged to go to the General Hospital of Heraklion to share the CD with them. I would like to mention that the tool is still under development and that the demo is based on a specific configuration. But remember that the tool is enough customizable to be compliant at any organization processes. Another element to report is that the file explorer that I opened to select DICOM files a signature, unfortunately has not been properly recorded. Thank you for having watched us. I hope you enjoyed. Bye. So this, I want to add something, I don't know, just to be sure that it's clear. It's needed just to share once the ticket or the information that to the ticket in this case. So then every time that you add the comments, files automatically is shared with the other partners, with the partner with which, with who we shared the information. I don't know if it was clear from the presentation. Any other question?
Are there any? I'm just showing the agenda on the screen just so you can see where we are at the moment.
Yeah. Sorry, Stephanie,
yeah.
there is still another video of 10 minutes.
Okay, sorry.
Just
okay,
to let you
I'll
know.
stop sharing then. Okay. Are there any questions then for now, or can we move on?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
In fact, the process is very clear, and the dashboard is very intuitive. So, congratulations for that. I have a couple of questions related to some maybe constraints that you can have on any process. To, for example, if you don't have if you have the obligation not to share a specific field and you do it, do you have any alert, for example, about that? And also I saw that you, in your template, you can also anonymize several fields. Is it something working today? And what happens if you anonymize the field, but in your comment, for example, you anonymize, for example, the name of the person? I don't know if it is something that that has any sense in this case, but if you put the information in your comment, do you check that also the comments do not include any personal information that should not be shared? Also, the same for the attachments that you upload. Maybe they can also contain information that are not possible to share. So all these need to be, I don't know, analyzed somehow and provide some alerts if there is any issue. Did you think about this in your project?
Thank you for the question, Wisdom. I leave Peter to answer because I don't know if in the development phase something has been added on that topic.
Yeah, not enough maybe. The anonymized fields we have inside the templates, what it actually means is that you cannot share this field. So it relates a bit to your first question, I think, where you ask if it's what happens if someone shares something that should not be shareable. That's why we have the anonymized field, so you can mark certain information to never leave your organization. And that is not possible to share that. But we do not do any matching of the information contained inside the unshareable fields. So, for instance, when it comes to files, we have no way to actually know if the information is contained inside there, or if somebody writes the same information in the comment and decides to share that information. So that might be something worth looking into. And, I think
it can be a question that is answered that need to be answered like the consent. You can ask, could you please check that the attachment do not contain this and this information, and yes or no. If it is okay, you can share. Otherwise, there is an issue, for example.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion that we could take into account.
I think
Thank you.
neither for the comments. I don't think we have a check.
No, exactly. No, it works in the same way.
So sorry, Stephanie and all. I need to leave for another meeting. But if you need any feedback more, you can contact me by mail. Thank you a lot.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks a lot, Bissam. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're kind of running, and we only have a couple of participants online now, but what we could do is, as we move to the interactive part, we can zoom in on some of the extra questions that you come up with, Fabrizio. Okay, let's move on to the last part of the demo then.
That's fine.
Okay, yeah, thanks for hanging in there, guys. Much appreciated.
I'm going to share the screen just to show the last video.
My name is Peter Hagström, and I'm the acting architect and lead for the development team of SISP. I'm going to show the latest development, focusing on what has been added since the previous demonstration. In the previous video, we focused on the main features of the platform: tenant management, user management, templates and workflows, data entry, and sharing. During the last period, we had mainly focused on 3 topics: the distributed features of SISP, flexible distributed file storage, and on allowing external identity management. During the previous demonstration, we showed how constituents form the trust boundaries over multiple organizations. In the past months, we have been working on extending this capability so sharing is also possible over a distributed federation of SISP instances. I'm going to start by logging in as the tenant manager of this SISP instance and open the federation management. We define a federation as a union of self-governing nodes under a central governance. In the SISP, this is implemented by the usage of TLS certificates and asymmetric cryptography. In order to establish trust and a federation, we are relying on a chain of trust by having a central authority that governs the federation. The central authority has the power to accept or reject partners to join the federation, and since the partners trust the central authority, they can trust that anyone holding a set of certificates signed by the federation is also accepted in the federation. The root certificate is the first thing that each node needs to accept. This establishes trust on the federation. Then we also need to supply our certificates and keys in order to prove to the participating nodes that we are part of the federation. We start by importing the federation root certificate, and then we also need to add the server public certificate and the server private key. This is used in order to prove our identity and our membership to the federation when other nodes connect to us. After this, we are also going to add our client public certificate and private key in order to prove to the service we are connecting to that we are a legitimate node inside the federation. Now the federation has been properly configured. Each node wanting to join must perform similar steps and hold a set of certificates signed by the Federation in order to join. The Federation has been configured, it's possible to create bidirectional connections to other instances belonging to the same Federation by connecting two or more nodes. In order to configure a node, we must have its endpoint address and the public client certificate for the node we are connecting to. After the certificate has been checked against the Federation certificate, the system will initiate a handshake with the added node. If the node is present on the other end, it will send an acknowledgement, after which the organization controlled by each instance are exchanged. We can see that the node has been signed by the Federation root, but it's still pending connection by the icon in green and orange. I am now switching over to the other node to add the first node into its nodes management. After this has been added, the node will try to synchronize and we will see the status update from being pending to being fully synchronized. Here we can see that the organization has been synchronized between the different nodes. Policlinico Gemelli is a local organization on our node, while General Hospital of Heraklion is an external organization residing on a different node. In the previous presentation, we showed how multiple organizations belonged in a constituent. Since we now have the possibility to engage in sharing with organizations on other nodes, it is now also possible to also include external organizations in a constituent. I start by logging into one of the two nodes as the tenant manager. I'm going to create a constituent spanning both nodes. Then I immediately sign into the other instance to show that the constituents has been synchronized over also to the first instance. I'm going to demonstrate how information can be exchanged between different nodes. This ticket I have received from General Hospital of Heraklion, and I'm logged in at Policlinico Gemelli. When I update this information in the ticket and save and share this will immediately be sent over to the General Hospital of Heraklion using the messaging system. Once the ticket has been saved and shared from Policlinico Gemelli, we will immediately receive the updated information at Heraklion. In the context of healthcare, it is common to deal with very large files, for instance DICOM files. In order to support these files to be properly exchanged in SISP, we've implemented an interface that allows us to adapt to different file exchanges. It is common in the healthcare to share images using a picture archiving and communication system, also known as a PACS. But for this demonstration, we have made use of a distributed file storage called Minio. This enables us to, instead of exchanging the file ourselves, rely on the distributed file system to do it for us, and only exchange a reference to where the data is residing. We can see that we have no files in the menu and the storage is now empty. I'll start by adding a large DICOM file to an existing health ticket. The file is directly streamed into the distributed file storage solution and persisted there. This makes it possible to exchange files in the magnitudes of terabytes if needed without the need to exchange them using the message passing architecture, since this is handled by the distributed file system automatically for us. Now when we switch to menu and update, we can see that the file has been persisted there. In healthcare, the authentication needs to be weighted against the patient security and the patient data security. In PANACEA, we are proposing new innovative authentication mechanism based on biometrics that should provide both high security and a convenient login approach. Technical solution must both aid for doctors and nurses to protect the patient and at the same time care about the data security. In order to provide a platform that is easy to integrate in the healthcare environment, we must also ensure that we are compatible with existing single sign-on solutions. The IMP will integrate directly with the Windows session. This enables authenticated users directly against the Active Directory. We, on the other hand, will use Active Directory Federation services as an identity provider for the SISP. Our interface against the Active Directory builds on the SAML2 protocol, which is an open standard for authentication and authorization implemented in many identity management platforms. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to use an open source SAML2 enabled identity provider called Keycloak. I have already created the necessary setup in Keycloak. Now I'm going to log in as an organization admin and configure a single sign-on using the Keycloak server. In the organization configuration, I can add the information needed to provide the SAML2 endpoints and all the configuration to have identity management through an external application. When I now sign out and sign in again, I will be using the SAML2 endpoint to perform the user challenge, instead of providing my credentials through the normal login flow. We briefly see the SAML2 endpoint flashing by, and we are back and logged into our application. This concludes the features that we have implemented from the previous demonstration. Thank you for watching.
There is a question, I think.
Yeah, there's a question, yeah. From Simon, yeah.
Just from me, thanks. And my apologies if I mismentioned this already, but in fact, interoperability was being talked with existing systems towards the end. What about interoperability with electronic patient records or electronic health record systems using HL7? Has that been considered at all?
Yeah, let's say it's under consideration, but still to be developed. So any suggestion is very welcome.
I wish I could offer a really intelligent suggestion. The only thing maybe that might be useful is, if you're going to give it serious consideration, is to look at the Mirth Connect message broker, which is technically free, though they charge for support, to see if that would help ease things. I've looked at interoperability before with Cerner Millennium CMS in the maternity hospital in Cork. And the feeling was that it is certainly doable. I would suspect that with SISP, you need to see whether it makes sense for the workflows that you're trying to support in the system.
Thanks a lot, Simon. Good suggestion.
Yeah.
Peter, anything that you would like to ask about that?
No, not from the top of my head here. It's of course important that we try to be as interoperable as possible. It is hard, however, to have access to all the systems and to understand this from the development. So anything that could help on that, as you suggested, this open broker and stuff like that, is very useful for us. So thank you for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry, Simon, can you repeat it, please?
Said no problem, and I was just going to drop into the chat. I was going to drop a link for Mirth Connect.
Perfect.
In the chat, okay.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Super. Thank you, Simon.
Any other question?
Okay, so maybe we can move to the feedback session.
Fine for me, Pasquale.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the polls.
Yeah. Just a quick note to Georgia, who joined us not long ago. Georgia, when we finish the polls, we'll pass the floor to you for a few minutes so that you can introduce yourself to the others. So your full name, where you work, and your interest in PANACEA. Okay, we'll just start with the polls so that we can start collecting some feedback. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. I'm now going to launch the first poll concerning the need for fine-tuning. We're asking you, based on your role and field of expertise, would you suggest some fine-tuning to this solution? The options are yes, if you have many suggestions, or some suggestions, or no suggestions at all. Okay, we're still missing 2 votes, but I think I'm going to close the poll as it's now been 1.5 minutes. So, Steph, if you agree, I will close and share the results.
Yeah, let's just yes.
Okay, so we do have 1 suggestion, so this can be maybe saved for later discussions, and I will go on with the next poll. The next set of polls concerns the fit for purpose. We're asking you in this first question to rate this solution based on your role and field of expertise in terms of its usability by the intended users. Options are difficult to use, usable with some effort, or very easy to use. Of course, in case your opinion doesn't match any of the options, we have added an option, a 4th option for other or no opinion. Again, yeah. Okay, I thought someone was talking. As I mentioned before, we are giving 60 seconds to vote, as it's very quick to do so. So I'm now going to stop the poll and share the results. So according to 50% of voting people, it's usable with some efforts, and 50% voted for very easy to use. Now moving to the next poll, again on the fit for purpose, we're asking you to rate the solution in terms of its usefulness. Options are: it doesn't solve any current issues, it's not very helpful, it may solve some issues, or it's very useful. Thank you. I'm now sharing the results. 50% voted for very useful and 50% may solve some issues. Moving on to the next poll. The question this time is, based on your role and field of expertise, how well do you think it captures the specific aspects of healthcare environments? It's A-specific, it doesn't capture any specific aspects, it captures many but not all specific aspects, or it fully captures the specific aspects. You can start voting. Thank you.
Maybe we can pick this one up in the open discussions, Christina. We don't need the polls are really to sort of to give us some pointers on what to focus the discussion on, and we have those extra questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing the results of the last one. Captures many but not all specific aspects. Just a note on my side, of course, it's not, we appreciate the feedback, but it's not mandatory, of course, but I just wanted to make sure that there aren't any technical issues, because I see sometimes that there are 2 votes missing. In case there is any technical issue, just raise your hands and we will look into this in the chat. We can look privately. I'm going now to the next poll. Based on your role and field of expertise, how do you rate the solution in terms of completeness of functions? It has low coverage, it has partial coverage, but some key ones are missing, and it has full coverage of all key functions, or other or no opinion. Okay, thank you. I'm now ending this poll and sharing the results. 50% voted for it has partial coverage, but some key functions are missing, and 50% it has full coverage of all key functions. The next set of polls regards the value added compared to the current state of the art. I'm going to read the first question. Based on your role and field of expertise, how would you rate the solution in terms of its innovations compared with others you're aware of? Is it behind others, like others, somewhat innovative, very innovative, or other or no opinion? Thank you. 100% voted for it is very innovative. Next question is, based on your role and field of expertise, please rank the solution in terms of its usability by intended users compared with others you're aware of. I'll read the options. It is less usable, it has the same usability, it is a bit more usable, or it is definitely more usable. Okay, thank you. I'm sharing the result. Definitely more useful. I'm launching the next poll. Based on your role and field of expertise, how would you rank this solution in terms of its usefulness compared with others? It is less useful, on the same level, a bit more useful, or definitely more useful?
We are nearly done with the polls, by the way. We appreciate your patience on this and your inputs where you can. And as I said before, we can pick up on some of the points during the open discussion.
Okay, I'm sharing the results here. Definitely more useful. It's the 100% of voting people. Then I go to the last poll. Last question, again on value added versus state of the art. Based on your role and field of expertise, how would you rank this solution in terms of its completeness of functions compared with others you're aware of? It is less complete, similar to others, a bit more complete, or definitely more complete? You can start voting already. Okay, thank you for your feedback. I think I will wait a few more seconds, and then Stephanie, if you agree, I'll close the poll and pass the floor back to you.
Yeah, okay.
I am sharing now the last results. We have 50% is a bit more complete and 50% no opinion. So I'm stopping the poll now. Back to you, Steph. Thank you. We cannot hear you.
Sorry, I was just talking to. Oh, he's put up the poll. I'll pass the floor to Fabrizio if you want to mention what you just put in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just we are just asking some more minutes of your time to participate to this short survey, to go more in details on what you already answered in this poll. We are asking some more information in order to explore what we can add, how we can improve our asset. So feel free to participate. We will really appreciate a lot. Even offline, it's not an issue. It's still open for a few days. Thank you.
Okay,
anyway,
so
yeah, please, Pasquale.
No, I was thinking about how to close now. So my understanding is that you are asking our colleagues, the participants, to fill, if possible, the survey that is reachable with the link that you showed.
Yes,
no?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so we'll send it also to the other participants that dropped out from the presentation. Okay, so yes.
I mean, I think some people might have had, network problems.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's been the same for me.
Yeah, also, other meetings. We do realise that this is quite a long time to dedicate in a working day. I'm just going to show my screen. I don't know if Georgia is still online and would like to say a few words. Have her in the list. Just checking if I don't know. We can give you the right, Georgia, to unmute if you'd like to say a few words about your work and interest in PANACEA. It's not, you don't have to, but it just helps us kind of understand who's online and, helps the others as well. But it's up to you to do it or not. If not, we can move on. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Pasquale, do we want to delve into some of those answers to the polls? Fabrizio, Peter, how would you like to move forward?
I think we can dive into some of the results. I think that might be interesting. Do you agree, Fabrizio?
Yes, yes.
Go first.
Okay, maybe. Oh, let's pass the floor to you both then, and maybe you could pick one of the questions or some of the questions that you particularly like to get a little more information about. So the floor's yours. I'm just keeping my mic open, but I'll try and be quiet because my microphone keeps.
Yeah, I can share the online survey just to.
Okay, let
open.
me move. Yeah, let me stop sharing then.
I'm just going to take again. Just a moment. Okay. Yep. Can you see?
Yes, we can. Yeah. I would suggest that the participants who want to comment just to raise their hand. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
I think I can select one of. So I think we can open. We can speak about how SISP can, which other use cases that you know in your the healthcare organization in general can be solved by SISP, because maybe his application can be larger than we are currently foreseeing. So if there is someone that wants to suggest us a different application of the SISP, please let us know. This can be is something that we are asking in the survey.
Having a look now.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know, Peter, if you want to mention something particular that you would like to explore with the attendees.
No, I think it's interesting to see how it compares with already existing.
Exactly.
So maybe how we engage in sharing today and see how this solution would compare, and also understand a bit about maybe how that process works, if it takes a lot of time, or if this could be a quicker and faster way to do the same thing that we are currently doing, or if it's not really something that occurs. Then it's of course also interesting to hear that. So yes, to get some kind of validation for the approach we have in the project. So that would be interesting to learn a bit more about. We have the new functionalities. Fabrizio, maybe you want to have something out of that. The question number 18 that we discussed a bit earlier about the feature set that we are currently working on.
Yes, please, if you can introduce again this concept, so at least in which scenario you would like to take advantage of this feature. It's of course a cross-border sharing, but to explain a bit better the idea from development point of view, what we envisage to develop.
Yeah, I can give it a shot. So what we are trying to do is to acknowledge that different hospitals in different countries speak different languages, both in terms of what type of information we record about patients and diagnosis and so on. So there are different diagnosis systems, for instance, that we might have to map between. So what we want to do is to basically take our data records and translate them into a common format that can be shared and understood by the receiver, because right now we might have a problem where we send information in Italian to a Greek hospital, and they wouldn't be able to make much sense of the information they receive if it's in Italian. So that's basically the feature we want to build. We want to take one data record and then transfer it into a new format and share that instance instead of sharing the original data instance that we might have on our end. And so that's the feature basically.
Yeah, if I can complement with other, let's say, realistic use cases, what happened? It's very needed, as Peter was explaining, when there is a cross-border data sharing, and based on the constituent, so we can imagine that Polyclinico Gemelli with a crypto hospital can create a constituent, so they trust each other to share information for patient, for particular type of exam, whatever they want. This mapping will help to, let's say, also to have your template, typical template in your organization. Then before sharing, as we showed in the demo video, you can decide to create a template, typical template for the constituent itself. So we can make this, with this feature, health ticket template mapping, we can map the internal template with the one decided, agreed within the constituent. And so when you perform the mapping, you can also translate the language. This it's the idea, just to, let's say, yes, to overtake this problem from language point of view, but also from a different template structure, different data set that are used in the several organizations. I hope that now it's also even more clear for you. I think for us it can be very relevant as a functionality, as a feature, but we would like to have your feedback because we know currently there are the national contact points that are interacting among them in Europe. I think this kind of feature can be very useful. So they need just to translate the information or support them during the current process ongoing.
Yeah. Well, my personal opinion is this is really important, and especially if we look at it also from a patient or a patient association perspective. I mean, you know, we're talking about an environment where saving lives or making people better is the primary function of the hospitals or the healthcare center. And you know, the last thing I think people want to worry about is being able to speak another language or express something in another language. Clearly, you know, we gave the example of the, you know, where there could be a tourist or some other visitor to one country, you know, finding themselves unwell or in an accident or something, or an emergency, other type of emergency situation where, you know, that language barrier would even be further exacerbated because, you know, this is a crisis situation that they're in. But I do think that, being able to talk the same, you know, finding a way to communicate across hospitals and across different languages and different cultures is really important. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Stephanie.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. Oh, Juan has just raised his hand. The floor is yours, Juan.
Hi. Well, this is very interesting because it's very different to what I've seen. But about cross-border exchange. Are you guys aware of other European initiatives like the eHealth Network and all that? I suppose you are, right?
Yeah.
So what do you guys think you could apply or give as feedback to them, because they already have their own structures for health records, which they decided with a lot of doctors and all of this. Is this like a tool that will assist them, and so it could help the health network in any way, or is it different? So just forgive me for my ignorance, but it's very good for interaction, but I don't know if it could be used on a large scale. And another thing is, if you're in another country and the doctor wants to see part of your eHealth record, he may want to see another part right after that. So like in Curix, we were also talking about that, and the HISP manager of the hospital said, just send the whole eHealth record, because the doctor will look at one section and then right after may look at another section of another specialty. So even though that we leave that to the hospital, because we only control the transfer with the blockchain and security measures, but I don't know if this could provide you guys any feedback or help.
I think it's very valuable, and it's important to compare also to, of course, the national and international directives that is employed by the EU. So. But it's quite different. I would like to think in that it's a much more quick way of communication channel, between hospitals where the national contact point seems to be, at least for me coming from the outside, the hospital world to be a lot slower and more not such a fast process. But I might be wrong on this.
Well, I don't know. That depends, because in Curex, we're going to exchange. It can be manual or even automatic. It just depends how much you put into the hospital side. But for example, in Madrid, all the hospitals exchange information with a repository like you guys do. And if a specialist analyzes a patient, the information is stored in that database, and it's updated every day. And for example, his, how do you say, the local doctor, his family doctor wants to have a look at the report, he can just connect to that database. So that's how we're doing that in Madrid. And it's quite fast, so, and he has all the information available. The thing is, the public hospital is like, public health here is like one hospital. So you sign with a public health system, not with the hospital. Another issue would be with private hospitals, of course. They don't have access to those systems. So this is going to be basically for private, public, and between different countries, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So there will be those limitations.
Sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Yeah, you guys don't have the same limitations we have in Madrid with our games. Okay. But European limitations will adapt to this maybe. But another thing, so this it always needs a manual. Like when the guy goes to the specialist for the scan, the doctor needs to put this into the tool automatically. Can't the doctor that sent opened the original ticket just send it over to the hospital for it to automatically be introduced and avoid a second user? That would be another improvement, I think. But of course, it may be out of scope of your project, so I don't know. Maybe.
But to be honest, I didn't get the suggestion. To avoid the second doctor that.
Yeah, like when you opened your ticket, the original, the sending hospital or the requesting hospital sends a request to another doctor, right? And,
yes, exactly.
Is that necessary? Because it has to be approved, or?
No, it was just because it's a different organization. We were just demonstrating that it's possible the sharing between the different organizations that can be, if they belong to the same, I don't know, the same.
And it's a federation.
A federation, yes, it's a federation.
This is so complicated, so I really don't know what to say. The best thing would be to make it automatic, but.
But of course, we can also, one idea is that if all the organization, for example, of the 7 health region of Crete can have access to the same instance. So the groups, it's just simply needed to create the groups of the different hospital. And that's all. We don't need to share. It's automatically shared based on the groups that you select. To manage the ticket or the information.
In Curex, all we request is the hospital to be part of the federation.
How to you request?
Yeah, the requested hospital and the patient's acceptance, which is done online. And then we have an emergency situation, just in case the patient is unconscious or something like that. And we just pop up a notice saying that they will have to justify this after. But it's quite automatic in general. And we also have, of course, the basis of the project is security and privacy optimizations of all the nodes, which are all hanged onto a private blockchain we have. So each hospital has a node, it has its privacy score and its cybersecurity score. And if the requesting hospital asks for data of so-and-so patient, first of all, they will have to be validated with the correct values of privacy and security. And once that's validated, the patient will have to give acceptance, and the record will be sent to the requesting hospital. So this is more complicated. It's different. It's very different to what we're doing. Okay, and another thing, there's a lot of standard, like I was at another presentation where they were like trying to standardize languages of doctors in the application, and they use standards like SNOMED, CIE, CIE PACS, ATC, LINE-C, and they're trying to standardize the language of the different systems, especially for research, to use all this information for research and for interaction between different HIS systems. I don't know if you guys are, I suppose you are considering things like this.
Yeah, we have considered it a bit. I think if I remember correctly, it was quite early in the project we had a look on this. But there was stuff like default taxonomies for how you describe EHR record and stuff like that are very interesting.
But they may be too complicated, right? I think.
Yeah, for our asset to handle that's quite complex, because it's actually dictates even how the data models should look and stuff like that. So it's possible that we are working a bit on interoperability. So depending on what we can do there, maybe we can have like an export-import format that actually can talk to these external formats or talking these.
Maybe you don't have to do it, at least mention it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, because when we were looking to CIE, I think that has a list of diagnostics of different diagnostics, and we don't really use it. We have a system that goes through the medical records and classifies what the doctor writes into one of these diagnostics, so.
Is it the ICD you talk about, or is it the ICD, the diagnostic codes? I think in international classification.
ICD. Oh, well, in Spanish, I think it's CIE. I'm not sure because this was last year and I don't remember very well. But I think it may be ICD, but in Spanish it may be CIE. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think we're talking more or less about the same thing. And we thought about using it, but it's very complicated, and the doctors don't use that language either. So.
Yeah, and there are a few different versions of it as well. So, there seems to be no real agreement anywhere on these.
Yeah, I think they're using version 10 now. Maybe, could it be?
Yeah, or is it 9 or 10 or something like that? Yeah, 10 maybe it's the new version.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. I can't really help you guys that much, but just. My opinion, like we're just we simplified the topic. We're not really going into medical record issues. We just want to create a network of secure hospitals that trust each other, and just make things as automatic as possible, and have all the operations, the doctors, not the managing of the data. We leave the managing of the data to the hospitals. We just log the interactions between hospitals and requests.
All right, so that's what you keep in the blockchain.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We don't keep the data. The data we don't manage the data, because of course if you go into the data, it's really complicated. So
yeah, that was what basically we found as well in our research package for the blockchain. So it's quite mandated that we will exchange the data. And then it was very hard to match that with a blockchain, actually.
Yeah, we had to. Of course, we can only use what's it called? Ciphering codes or links.
Yeah.
To the real data, which I think we're also using Keycloak which has a doctor and the patient and things like that. So. That right to forget, they just have you just delete from the database in the Keycloak, and of course you just have pointers in the blockchain to nothing. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, then it's gone. Yeah.
That's the way we manage GDPR.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know. I can't really tell you much more. So.
Yeah. Thanks for the input.
Well, no, it wasn't very good anyway. So, but But yeah, this is very interesting. I liked it a lot. And the presentation on Wednesday was very good too. On Tuesday, sorry. On Wednesday, I missed it. Sorry, I missed that.
Thanks.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot. Does anyone else want to add to this discussion or maybe pose another question?
I'm okay, thanks.
Okay. Don't know if Fabrizio or Peter, if you have any other requests for comments.
Not from my side. I think we addressed some topics that we were interested on. I think we received the good feedback. Fine for me. I don't know, Peter.
Yeah, I think so.
No, I agree as well. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so let me just we can perhaps wrap up here. So good timekeeping, everyone. I'll just share my screen. Oh, no, wait. Here we are. So some of you have already seen this already. I'm just gonna explain again, how we can stay connected. Obviously, there's been some good discussions taking place this week. We have a few more webinars next week. I think it's good to, also with CureX and the Sphinx projects to keep the dialogue going and understand how we can share, results and information and experiences as well. Also, this is a very particular, the healthcare sector is, as we've been saying all along, a very specific environment. So you can either join us on through the LinkedIn community or Twitter if you have an account. Just one thing I'd just like to repeat, that we have a Lookout Watch which collects reports on such as research paper, but we also look at the policy for applicable regulations and directives, and also some guides as well by various expert groups or guidelines from ENISA as the European Agency for IT and Network Security. We also have some market reports, but if, for example, CureX or another project or any of you have interesting insights to share, you can send us this information and we'll put it on the Lookout Watch and make sure that the community is aware of this. And just to wrap up quickly, just to also flag this event, it's a virtual conference taking place at the last week of September and the first week of October. It's the Connect Autumn School on Digital Health. The conference will be looking at digital health from various perspectives. Sabina is in the session on cybersecurity as a priority for healthcare delivery, and she'll be talking about some of the first-hand experiences during COVID and what we might be able to learn, take from that, away from that, and apply it to future developments of the toolkit and its deployment after the end of the project. So with that, I thank you very much for joining us. We'll stay in touch. This is the last webinar this week, but we have 3 more next week. One of them will be on security by design, the framework, which is in 2 parts, and then we'll be looking more at the non-technical elements and more really the human side with the training and education package and the secure behavior nudging. So that's what's coming up next week. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you very, very much for your time and for your valuable feedback. I don't know if the partners would like to add anything here as a final thank you, or if you'd like to add anything. Yeah.
I lifted up my hand. No, just
wait, he's raised his hand. Oh.
Yeah, yesterday I missed the session. Oh, my mom's in the hospital, so I was there, but I didn't really have the invitation. I don't know if I missed it or what, but today you sent a couple of emails reminding, and I think that's a good idea. Just in case.
Yeah. There should be an automated one, but I thought that perhaps giving people reminders the day before on the same day might also help, because I've put in the joining instructions there.
Well, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. No, well, people do tend to lose these invitations. Yeah. So yes. But
Okay,
thanks.
I'm very sorry.
Best wishes for your mother, by the way. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're
She's
welcome.
getting better. Thanks.
Oh,
We
good.
thought it was
That's good to know.
COVID, but it was
Oh
just
wow! Oh
yeah,
right.
we were so scared.
Yeah. Well, my own father was in hospital a few months ago in Leicester, which is one of the, they went into local lockdown. That was pretty scary, but it was it was just an operation, but it all went fine.
The thing is, if you go in there, you're in danger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he was tested for COVID. Yeah. Okay.
We're going back to the 19th century, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Certainly are. Well, all the best then, Juan, to your mother once again.
Thank you very
and
much.
Everyone stay safe. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.